Hello and welcome to another episode. Now, surfing is an incredibly popular sport nowadays, whether you like it or not. You know, everyone wants a slice of that lifestyle of riding waves and, you know, traveling to these amazing places to do it. But with that comes crowds. And at these marquee spots around the world, you know, these amazing world-class waves, what should be a very joyous experience is often very frustrating, aggressive, and not that fun, which is not why we surf. So in this video, we're going to take a look at some potential solutions and things that can be done to sort of alleviate the frustrations that come with crowds. But first of all, let's take a look at some of the most stupidly crowded spots on Earth. First up, we've got Snapper. That's the first spot that comes to mind when you think of crowds, you know, just thick human soup of surfers. You know, whenever there's waves at Snapper and that whole Superbank stretch, there's just a crazy amount of people and you can't really get away from that. You know, it's the most famous wave in the world. Then Uluwatu in Bali, you know, another really famous wave. Everyone wants a piece of it. Pipeline on Oahu, another really famous wave that attracts the crowds. And then yeah, there's so many other spots around the world, Pavones, Anchor Point, J-Bay, you know, these sort of famous spots that have that reputation, whether it be for just being world class, you know, hosting CT events and just generally got that aura about them, are always going to be crowded. So I guess at the end of the day, waves are a commodity and there's only so many of them to go around. There's not an abundance of quality waves all the time. I mean, if you're talking on a global scale, there's always somewhere that's pumping, but at a particular spot, there's only so many good waves and there's only so many good days. So to share that around a certain amount of people is always going to be a little bit tricky. So I guess the problem is you've got this huge battle for something there's only a limited amount of. And generally speaking, in most lineups, I find that 20% of surfers are getting 80% of the best waves, and vice versa. You know, the other 80% of the lineup are only getting 20% of the good waves and 80% of the bad waves. So this 80-20 rule actually applies to loads of different things in life, but it does to surfing as well. You know, you look at any lineup on the good waves, it's mostly like just a handful of people, whereas everyone else is sort of battling for scraps. So obviously you've just got the sheer volume of people, and then you've got like the hierarchy that comes into it. You know, you've got like the locals, and like better surfers are better at getting waves. Locals often just take their waves. No one technically owns the ocean. And just because you surf already and you're a good surfer and you've been surfing a spot for a long time, doesn't mean you have more right than anyone else to use that particular piece of ocean, you know, at least in a legal sense. I know in surf culture we do kind of have that. I guess it kind of seems really stupid when you compare it to other things. I always think a good comparison is skateboarding. You don't really go to a skate park and then someone tell you, oh, I'm skating here. You've got to go down to another skate park down the road. Like, it doesn't really work like that. So yeah, the bottom line is that these crowded lineups and more people entering them just creates a stressful experience basically for everyone, and that's not fun. Speaking of stress, and on a deeper level than just a frustrating surf session, let me introduce you to today's paid partner, BetterHelp. Now, BetterHelp is an online therapy platform that helps connect you to a credentialed therapist who is trained to give you helpful, unbiased advice. So if you have anything that you're struggling with, whether it be currently or in the past, and you've just been too ashamed or nervous of sharing it with anyone, BetterHelp might be for you. Now, BetterHelp is really cool because it allows you to do therapy on your own terms and in your own time. First of all, just head to their website and fill out a basic questionnaire. And with that information, BetterHelp will connect you with a licensed therapist, usually within 48 hours. Once matched, you can do therapy sessions from your computer, from your phone, and you can do sessions via text, phone call, or video call, however you feel most comfortable. If for whatever reason you don't click with your therapist and you're just not getting on, you can request a change and they can help you find a therapist that will be better suited to your personality and your needs. So if you've struggled with anything to do with your mental health, let BetterHelp connect you with someone who can support you, all from the comfort of your own home. I'll leave the link to BetterHelp down in the description where you can check it all out, but for now, let's crack on with the video. Now, I guess with crowds as well, can there only be a certain amount of people who can surf? Are we just going to get to a point where it gets so crowded that there'll be this tipping point where people start to not go to somewhere? There can only be so many people that surf, right? I'd do this video again in 5 years and like there's just nowhere surfable anymore because it's so crowded. But I guess it can reach a tipping point, you know, it can only get so crowded where you look at it and go, okay, I'm not going to go in. So every lineup can, you know, only handle a certain amount of people. It'd be interesting. Let me know what you think will happen. Will it just get more and more crowded? Now, I had a think the other day, and there are actually some solutions, you know. Crowds don't have to be this like real doom and gloom, like depressing thing. Well, surfing's dead, surfing's over, you know, it doesn't have to be like that. There's loads of solutions. What could work is making more waves, and that's exactly what we're doing at the moment with wave pools and artificial reefs. Part of the overcrowding problem down on the Gold Coast in Australia. They built the artificial reef at Palm Beach, you know, just up the coast. So if there's more people surfing, can we not just build way more waves? I know they built the artificial reef at Palm Beach. I've never actually surfed it, but please let me know what it's actually like if you surfed it. You know, I know there's been a few cases of artificial reefs, especially one here in the UK in Bournemouth. Didn't really work, they like put it in upside down. But if we got really good at that, could we just have loads of them, you know, on these like anonymous like stretches of coast where there's no shape to the waves? Could we just put an artificial reef in and like shape that swell and make it into a sick wave? In theory, it's really easy to do that, but then where do we get the resources to do that from, you know? But I guess the same thing is happening as well with wave pools, you know, and I think wave pools are going to be one of the big things that takes away a lot of the stress from crowds, you know. We've got all these wave pools springing up in different parts of the world now, and you can go pay a bit of money and basically guarantee yourself waves. Also guaranteeing yourself a certain degree of quality, and there's always waves, you know, and consistency, and you're going to have that same shape wave to practice things on. For me, I think that's the sickest thing in the world, you know, to improve your surfing and guarantee yourself a fix of waves. I'm all for wave pools. I mean, it takes away a little bit that sort of experience of being in nature and stuff. And I guess we might start seeing like this whole breed of surfers who can't surf in the ocean but just surf in the pool. I think that is kind of starting to happen. But if you can combine it, you know, if the waves are not good in the ocean and you can go up to the wave pool for a few days, or you know, you've visited this spot and it's really, really crowded, and then you can go to the wave pool if you're sick of the crowds and get a few waves. Yeah, I guess wave pools, we're just making more waves to accommodate more surfers, which I think is a really, really good thing. Let me know what you think of wave pools. I think they're freaking sick, but if you've got any other opinions on them, let me know down in the comments. Otherwise, you can go off the beaten track. So if you're willing to go off and explore and get your own waves, you can definitely get away from the crowds. It's not that hard to do. You've just got to look further than your YouTube homepage and Instagram feed and you know, what you find online, you can go and find them. And then lastly, you can just accept the crowds. You know, sometimes you can rock up at a crowded lineup with like low expectations and just, you know, use the lineup to have fun. You can look at the lineup, go out there and go, okay, I'm just going to sit on the inside, get a few little runners to warm up. Then I might like sit a bit further out, try and poach off someone who's falling on a particular section of a point break. And without like going in there with the mindset of, oh shit, it's crowded, I'm not going to get any of the good ones. You can go in with like this whole different mindset of like, I'm going to have a lot of fun here. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to get a few on the inside section because there's no one down here. Then I'm going to go wait for a bigger one and I'll be a bit patient for half an hour. Then I might poach again on the inside, and then I'll have a quick break, and then it might go onshore, and then I'll run back out when it goes onshore and a few people get out. So although when you look at a crowded lineup as a whole, it seems crazy and like this horrible thing, when you start breaking it down a little bit, you can always sort of get waves. Yeah, they're sort of my solutions that I would say for overcrowded waves. Let me know what you think about, first of all, like overcrowding. What point will it get to? Will it get to a tipping point and it just sort of flattens out and, you know, it doesn't really get any more crowded than it already is? And will these solutions actually help, you know, artificial reefs and wave pools? I'm definitely on the optimistic side when it comes to crowds, you know. We can just make more waves, and there's plenty of waves already to go around, you know. So yeah, let me know what you think. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's been a really fun one to make. So as always, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.